Hello, guys. I'm back. I know I've been so distracted with whatnot that I've just kind of put YouTube on the back burner, but here we are. We're gonna upcycle, well, not really upcycle, but give this little metal tray a makeover. It had like an epoxy top on it that was warped, so I just kind of pulled that out. I'm gonna go in with this vintage pink and give it a little paint job to cover up all those scratches it has on the surface. So I do end up giving this about 2-3 coats, and since this does have a sealant built into it, I'm going to go straight into it with my transfer. So this transfer came out of the release from IOD, the spring release of last year, I think. I don't know the name, but I'm trying to use this one up. I haven't gotten the new release yet, which I'm dying, but so I'm going to use this transfer here. I'm just going to place it here in the center. Then using the little tool that comes with the IOD transfers, I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on my transfer to get it onto my surface. I do lift it from one corner just to start releasing it from the transfer sheet. And yeah, that's not the tool that comes with the transfers. It usually comes with a little plastic one, but here I'm just using a popsicle stick because that's what was nearby. So I'm putting a little pressure, and here we are. I'm just lifting up the corner just to help it release from the transfer sheet. So I'm going to take the same little sheet and just put a little pressure, rub it right over the transfer just to make sure any loose pieces are adhered. I did go in with a clear spray paint to seal in the transfer, and here is the end result. So I picked up these little plates from the thrift store, and I knew exactly what I was going to do with them when I found them. I'm just going to add some transfers to them. I'm going to use this Gilded transfer book. It's called Etiquettes. It's from an older release. I just haven't really used much of these, so I'm going to go ahead and use them on these plates. And I find these so much easier to use on glass. I have wasted so much of these because I guess I was putting too much pressure or something, I don't know, but these came out super cute. I do have another set that I'm saving for the new release, which I can't wait for it to come in. It should be here any day, maybe today. So same concept as with a regular transfer. You just put pressure, lift it from one corner, and that just helps it release from the transfer sheet. So I did all 5 of these plates in different pieces of that transfer book. These are just cute to display the way, you know, how they're displaying butter pats now. Butter pats are a big deal right now. These would be just as cute displayed just the way they're displaying butter pats. They will be in my next auction show, which is tomorrow at 10:45 Central Standard Time on Whatnot. So if you guys want to catch me there, I will link it down below and hope to see you guys there. So using this same transfer book, I'm going to cut out this pretty lady right here. I'm just going to trace around her, and then I'm going to cut her out. So I do transfer it onto this piece of cardstock, but I end up not liking it as much as I liked the transfer sheet, carrier sheet. I don't know what to call it, but the back part, like once I've transferred it over, the carrier sheet, I kind of like that even more than the transfer itself transferred over to a cardstock. Does that make sense? Anyways, so you'll see I end up framing that piece instead, and I really loved it. So same thing here, just transferring it over to the cardstock, putting a little pressure and releasing it from the transfer sheet. Then I end up cutting another piece of cardstock just so I could show you the difference. I'm sure this has been done before. I never thought of it, and I placed it on top of the cardstock, and I truly loved it. Did I go get the pieces that I just threw out? Yes, I did. And I'm going to use them. And I framed it, and just look how perfect it is. It was in a powder room raid train I did today, and it sold, and I just loved it. So this little jewelry box I picked up at the Goodwill bins, and it didn't have any feet. And I knew I could save it. It needs feet because then the music player doesn't play. So it needs to be lifted up. So I do add some little feet. First, we're going to repair this little corner that is broken. I'm adding some tight bond there just to so it doesn't separate any further. Then I'm just going to go in with some clay and fill that in and just shape the little corner there. So I'm just using regular air dry clay. I think it's DOS. I'm filling in the cracks there and kind of shaping it. I will still go in and sand it a bit just to clean it up a bit, but I let this dry completely and then I will sand. So for the little feet, I'm just going to use some wooden beads that I got from Amazon. I'm gonna glue them on with some Tide Bond. I set this aside to let everything dry and bond well, and then I will come back and sand that little corner. So after my feet have dried, I'm gonna go in with Rub and Buff. I'm gonna fill in that corner, which I already sanded. I don't know what happened to the clip, but I'm just kind of dragging that Rub and Buff a little bit further down just so it could blend. I also added to the other side just to make it look like it was meant to be like that. And here I am just coloring in the bottom, and this actually blended pretty well. So now I'm using the same Rub and Buff just to color in those little feet, and surprisingly it did kind of, you know, look like it's meant to be there. So it kind of worked out, and the feet were tall enough also so the music box can play just like it normally would. So as I was recording this, my IOD shipment came in and I'm so excited. So we're going to go and use one of those transfers. So I want to use this transfer book. It's called Saint Quinn. And I'm going to use the floral pieces in the back, and I'm going to add it to the top of my box. So I'm just making sure it is center. I did put it a little bit too low, but I think it looks good either way. And just like normal, you set it down, and this time I am going to use the little tool because it was in the pack. So I'm going to commit here, and then I'm going to start rubbing it on with my little plastic tool. There was one small piece at the bottom that gave me a little trouble. I don't know if it had, maybe I missed a spot like when I was cleaning it or something. I don't know. But it didn't want to adhere. I just had to put a little bit more pressure, and I got it to stick to the surface. So it all worked out. And here you can just see that I'm pulling a corner of the transfer sheet. It just makes it a lot easier to a release from the sheet. So once I got it transferred, I'm gonna give this a coat of clear spray paint to seal it in, and here is the end result. I truly do love how it came out. So here's my last project for this video. Here is a broken vanity mirror that I'm just gonna fix it up a bit just so it doesn't get trash. It's still so pretty. So I'm taking off this clear protective cover in the back because, as you can see, it was very worn and you just couldn't see the pretty flowers. They are very aged, but I love that. I did take this outside and finish breaking the rest of the mirror to take it out. Using this piece of cardboard that came out of the mirror, I'm going to trace it out on this piece of quilted fabric. I don't know what this came off of, but it's just a piece I had left. I'm going to cut it out along with some, I don't know, I think it's called quilting batting or something like that. It's kind of like cotton because I want to add a little bit of cushion. So I'm cutting them out together. That's what I'm doing here, even though you can't see it, but that's what I'm doing. So I've never really done this before, and When I did this, I did get it fully in there, but then I realized it was too flat, so I basically started over. I added another layer of batting, and then I just repeated this whole process again. So that is what I'm doing here. I took it all off and I'm adding some hot glue so the cotton underneath isn't moving around. I placed it on top, and then I'm gonna start using this little spatula painting tool thing. I'm gonna start stuffing the edges underneath the frame of the mirror, and then I will go in with some glue to make sure this doesn't come out. And this is the part that took the longest. It just, every time I stuffed it under one side, the other side would come out. So it just takes a little bit of patience, and I do end up getting it underneath. I do plan on lining this with like some pearls. So before we do that, I'm gonna put some glue underneath the frame of the mirror. And I just bought these little glue. I don't even know if they're for glue. They're for detail work, I think it's what it's called, or I don't know. But it gets under, it has a little point that it gets underneath the frame of the mirror. And I'm the type of crafter, I don't like when glue shows. It like bugs me. So I want glue to be hidden as much as possible. That's why I use this little detailer little squeeze bottle. I get them off of Amazon, and the glue I'm using is I have to go look at it upstairs, but I will link it down below, or I will list it down below if I can find it. I don't really recommend the glue I'm using though. I would prefer using E6000, the jewelry kind, if you do end up doing like some type of mirror like this. The one that you find in the jewelry section dries almost immediately versus the regular one. So that is the one I recommend. So once I get the glue underneath the frame, I do go in on the outer edge of the frame just to give it an extra adhesion. So that is what I'm doing here, and then I'm going to go in with my beads. So this is the tricky part. This glue doesn't dry quick enough, so I was having to put a little bit of glue and then putting the beads and then taping it down to give it some time to dry. And now that I think of it, I don't know if the E6000 jewelry one will work if I'm gluing it down to fabric, because I think the mirror I did previously, it wasn't on fabric. It was more like on the I had decoupaged, and then I was gluing beads around it. So I don't know, I guess I would have to give that a try. But the tape trick did work. I gave it a couple hours to dry, and when I came back, everything was all good to go. And that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for taking the time and watching it. If you made it this far, let me know which one was your favorite. Again, catch me on Whatnot. I will be on tomorrow at 10:45 Central Standard Time. I will leave the link down below, and hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much, and don't forget to subscribe and follow for more. Bye, guys.